So good evening, everybody. Went and reviewed the videos. I was getting ready to splice everything together to post it, and by no means do I have editing skills. I'm literally just putting the clips together and I'm sending it right now. But I just did want to preface a little bit on the video. So I did mention with the Echo about the settings, about full settings versus half settings. So the way the Echo works is that up to a certain point, and it might be the same, I haven't used the Scots in a very long time, but up to a certain point, so you go up from, well, I think it's, the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then you can hit the half settings right up through 5.5. But once you hit 6, and then it's every other. So it'll start, once you hit 6, it goes right to 7, right to 8, 9, 10. Then there's the spacers in the middle. But so I think I said doing half settings depending. So again, usually if I'm spreading, I can do things at a 4, 4.5, a 5. But given the CarbonX, it's a little bit, again, it's a bigger prill. So they say a 6, I spread it a 7, and it worked beautifully on that machine. And it seems like a lot of people online, from what I see on their postings, that they're typically going a setting up on the Echo. Another thing I mentioned is I did talk about, I think I called it the Agway spreader when I actually meant to say the Lesco, in terms of the brands that have the different agitators and pieces of their spreaders. So again, they're all a little different. They all kind of do their own thing. I have yet to meet, even with the Earthway, a spreader that you don't have to work a little bit at the end, but just wanted to throw those two items out there. Again, everything's down. And it's nighttime now. It's cold. It's down in the low 60s, mid 50s even by the end of tonight. And tomorrow morning we'll get out there and we'll set up that sprinkler and let it start doing its job. So, and I've been real happy with that impact. So just thought I'd preface that with a couple of items for you guys to note. Otherwise, have a great evening, and I'll see you again.
Back again, part 3 of section 2 of the 4th day, and whatever it is now. I'm following the plan, but again, my days get a little screwy when you got a lot of other things going on in life. But we did get a mow. I switched out the blades, so I got rid of the side discharge. I put the mulch cover back on. Didn't do the full mulch kit. What I actually have is it's an anti-blowout baffle that they sell for this, and it's literally just it's steel. I mean, it's a steel bar, but it fits to the very front edge of the deck. And I'll show it in another video when I start showing you how we kind of handle leaf cleanup around here. But essentially what it does is it keeps anything, like when you're running over and the leaves are starting to fall and you get a lot of that material. A lot of times on the tractor, because of the shape of the deck, you want those high lift blades to help kind of kick things around and mulch up that leaf material as much as you can. But what'll happen is some of those leaves will actually just get kicked out from the airflow out and under the deck. So it'll just kind of like pop out and off to the front. What that ends up doing is you end up with like lines of leaves that you're constantly just pushing out of the way and having to run over a second time versus getting any type of mulching done on those leaves, which is kind of annoying. So I did buy that a few years back, and it actually works really well. It keeps the leaves underneath the deck and lets them just kind of get minced up under there. So I went and put that on. I swapped out the mulching blades, the John Deere mulching blades that come with the kit that I have for it, with the Gator G3s. So again, the high lift blade, I can get it, and they're nice and sharp. So that's pretty much where I'm going to sit with for the rest of the season. Went back up to 3 on a mow, and the grass was probably 3.25 to 3.5. So it's been shooting up. I got the RGS down yesterday. I got the rest of the aerate down yesterday and the day before. We had that bit of rain. I watered things in yesterday afternoon to the early evening. Soil temperatures today are in the high 60s. So it's been, like I said, high 60s to the low 70s is where it's kind of hovering depending on the days and how this weather's working out. So I think I got my dithiopure application down and just in time. Started hitting it with that RGS and that aerate, both of which have humic in it as well as the CarbonX. So I'm going to hold off on using that humic, the humic 12 that I have. I have 2 gallons of that, so I'm going to start throwing that down in a couple weeks. But right now, today, what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and use the RB-60, and we're going to throw it on a bag of CarbonX, and I'm going to throw that down at bag rate. So I'm not going to spoon feed this one because right now the grass is coming in, it's starting to grow. So I'm literally hammering it with as much as I can. So we're going to get that in the bucket, and we'll be right back. We'll show you the settings and the little new piece I put in and how it works. Stay tuned. So CarbonX 2404, and I've been using this this is actually my second season in using this stuff. I started using it last fall. Was the very first time. I only had one bag at the time I applied it, and my grass was, and I hadn't done anything else. I didn't really do a lot of extra work. There was some thatch, some aerate work done, but in terms of applying, it was just this, and the lawn was going nuts. So if I'm already doing RGS, the aerate, I'm gonna be putting humic on this, and I got another bag of this in the garage that I'm gonna probably do 2 spoon feedings of, spread out over the next 1 to 2 months. But this stuff I love. I started out the season, I tried to go to the X Green just to see what it would do. It was a newer product. I wanted to see how it worked. I don't know if that was going to be my preferred, because I don't really think that did a lot of good in terms of wake up in comparison to the CarbonX. So I was probably using the wrong product. But CarbonX, I love this stuff. It's amazing. It's cheaper than buying tons of bags of Milorganite and dropping that down. And I feel like you're getting a lot more out of this product anyway. So when I look at the spreader settings here, again, Echo isn't listed yet, but Echo says follow Scott's for the most part. So if you look at all the Scott's here, 6, 6, 6, regardless of the cast they're using. Earthways, I used to have an Earthway, but much different setting on those. So we're looking at 6s. So if we come over here on the RB-60, and I lift this up, take a look at the back here. They have the handy dandy chart. So you got your Echoes, and it's pretty much in line with the Scott's for the most part. And you'll see here that 6 is a 6, right? So one thing I've noticed with the RB-60 is I've actually been going up a little bit, maybe half a setting to a full. So if it's rated at a 4, I might go 4.5, 5. Because I really want to see, what I'm noticing is that this doesn't put it out as fast as the Scott's number does. I don't know if that makes sense to everybody. So what I'm seeing here is that they're calling for a 6 to a 6. So I'm actually going to go ahead and I'm going to set this to a 7. And they don't have half settings on Lesco. So I don't go from 4 to 4.5. I go 4 to 5. I'll go up 1, potentially 2, but usually 1 for me does a pretty good job. So we'll set that to a 7. You can see that's a pretty wide opening, so it's going to come dumping out of the bag. But again, I'm doing this, I have 20,000 square feet total. I'm not worrying about certain sections where it's just dead. I'm not dealing with those right now. Those are the edges to the woods. I can only push growth so far. And then on the side of the hill over there, didn't end up doing the renovation work this year over there to do a reseed, because I really wanted to hit that POA annual problem that I was having. So like I said, I'm going to bomb the 15,000 square feet right now with the CarbonX. I've got mine, don't mind the dirtiness here. I did use this recently for something else, but I've got my little wings on here, and that was in another video that you can see, just to kind of adjust this, because if you look down here, you'll see there's a gap. I mean, it's just sitting there. So what happens is once all the product gets down to about, this level, it just kind of gets pushed around. There's nothing happening, and it's relying completely on gravity to feed the spreader down below here. So there's nothing happening in the hopper, and I know Agway has the agitators and all these aftermarket pieces you can get, so I wanted to do something here. So I drilled a couple holes, got some neoprene washers, a couple of mini bolts, and these are actually shelf hooks, or they're shelf hooks. They hold shelves in for your cabinets. And I can actually adjust these and angle them in, out, however I want. But what the purpose is here is, as I get down lower, it's not going to scrape the very edges. You can see I kind of played around with testing out some wire, some metal wire, to see what that did. All that did was whip it around and kick it out of the bucket. But what this will at least do is, as the gravity's kind of pushing it here, it'll just help kind of pull it into the opening here on the hopper and let it fall down. So we're going to go ahead and drop that in. We're going to start doing some spreading, and we're going to move on. I'm not going to water it in today, because again, it's cooled down a lot here. We're hitting 50s, 60s at night, so I don't want to water too late in the day, because it's actually still a little damp from yesterday. So what I might do is come back tomorrow and hit it with a watering, because this can stay on the ground. You're not going to hurt anything from putting it down and letting it sit. If anything, it's going to help it kind of work its way, through the breeze and just shifting around onto the soil itself, so it'll be a little more effective. But let's get it down, and we'll check back in. There we go. We're getting near the bottom here. Most of the yard is covered. I just wanted to show you how much the changes. When you used to do this with the old agitator, you would just kind of see things maybe moving around a little bit in here. But when with these new paddles that I did here, this little modification, just watch. I think that speaks for itself. It's doing a heck of a job at grabbing and throwing. So let's hope everything wakes up nicely. Get a little water on this tomorrow. All right, all washed up, rinsed everything out, ran it through the hopper a couple times. I really think those paddles help a lot. Obviously, I'm still having to do a little bit of like shimmy with it when you want to get it down to literally the very bottom, just to help it fall out. But I'm by no means shaking it and trying to bounce it to just get everything to fall down again. So it definitely is an improvement, you know, and I'm happy with it. It was a cheap fix, so it worked for me. Hopefully it works for you too. If you decide to do something along those lines, put a little brush underneath. Anything you want to try. I mean, a couple screws through there, a brush. I went through a couple different formulations and varieties before I came up with that idea. Happy with it. But CarbonX is down, did the bag rate. I actually kept the spreader. I said I was going to do, I think the Scott's was a 6, and there's no half settings on the Echoes, so I actually ended up doing a 7. It seemed like that worked really well. It comes out a little fast, so you have to kind of pick up the pace when you're walking, but the 6 seemed like it might have almost, because again, everybody knows CarbonX is, they got pretty good sized granules all mixed together there. It's not like it's you know, smaller prills. But with the 6, I felt like it was either kind of getting stuck in an open position when I was coming around corners and I was wanting to stop, because I kind of played with it here and there to see if the 6 worked fine. And then other times it just didn't seem like it was spreading enough, so it might have been clogging itself up a little bit with that opening. You put it on a 7 though, and smooth sailing the whole way. Every time you open and close it, it would just shut right away. There wasn't any clumping. It wasn't like there was no spots of slow down in terms of where the spread was coming out. So really happy with that. I think that just, again, that seems to be the general rule with the Echo, is that even though the settings are trying to be spot on with what the Scotts are, and I'm sure that's what they were going for, but for mine, I work well with the 7, or I should say 1 setting above what they recommend for the comparison to Scotts. But again, it could be my particular model, because again, they're spring loaded, so maybe my spring has a little bit of a different tension, not sure, but that's what works for me. Just, you know, see how it goes for you. However, down, we'll get some watering done first thing in the morning when it's bright and early, as I head out and get some coffees. And tomorrow we're going to work on closing the pool. It's a 2-day process for me, because what I actually end up doing is I go right to the store and I pick up what I need on a yearly basis, even a new cover. It's an above ground pool. So we'll get into that tomorrow, but I'll show you what I go through for above ground pool closing. Pools are a non-maintenance item. If you just get them, set them and forget them to a degree, you keep throwing some pucks in there. I'll go through it all on another different video. I'll post that tomorrow or in a couple days for you. However, part 3 of section 1-2, whatever, has been completed. The CarbonX is down, so all of my product is down right now. Just a matter of watering it, mowing it, and keeping it happy. In the next couple weeks, we'll get some of that humic down there, and we'll go through that. Thanks a lot. Take care.